welcome to the Deep Dive. Today you're joining us as we trace the incredible story of, well, an absolute aviation icon, the North American P-51 Mustang.
That's right. We're going to look at how this legendary plane went from just a concept, really, to dominating the skies in World War II.
And how it still turns heads at air shows today. It's quite a journey.
It really is. And we've dug into quite a few sources for this one. We've got history on the famous 357th Fighter Group, pilot accounts like Clayton Kelly Grace's oral history.
Oh yeah, the museum stuff. Great detail there.
Exactly. Technical comparisons, the whole story with the Merlin engine, which is crucial, info on the Red Tail Squadron's plane, restoration details.
Its overall impact, how they designed it so fast.
Right, even forum discussions about seeing one fly today and, experiences like flight rides.
So our mission, really, is to piece together that whole journey, inception to icon.
Precisely, from the drawing board to the modern air show.
Okay, let's jump right in. The beginning. How did this plane, which became so legendary, get designed so incredibly fast? It seems almost unbelievable.
Well, it really was born out of necessity, wasn't it? Back in 1940, things were heating up, and the British Purchasing Commission came to North American Aviation, NWA.
Right. They wanted them to build P-40s, the Curtiss fighters.
They did. But NWA's president, Dutch Kindleberger, he had a bolder idea. He basically said, hold on, we think we can design something better, a completely new fighter.
That takes some confidence to just say, no thanks on the P-40s, we'll build you a better one, fast.
And they delivered, the prototype, the NA-73X, rolled out in just 102 days.
102 days, that's...
Wow.
First flight, October 1940. What made that possible? What were the key things?
It was a perfect storm, really. A few critical elements came together. First, a really cohesive, talented design team under Edgar Schmood. They just clicked.
Okay, a good team is vital.
Absolutely. And second, they weren't afraid to use cutting-edge techniques, lots of wind tunnel testing, for instance. They really studied the airflow.
So it wasn't just sketching and building. It was real aerodynamic science from the get-go.
Exactly, refining it constantly. And a huge innovation was that laminar flow wing.
Ah, the wing design. Tell us about that.
Well, think of a normal wing pushing through the air, creating drag. The laminar flow wing was shaped differently, very precisely, so the air flowed smoothly over it for much longer. Less drag.
Meaning more speed, better efficiency.
You got it. Plus, they obsessed over streamlining, sleek shape, flush rivets, anything to reduce drag. And then there was the clever radiator design.
Right, you mentioned that. The Meredith effect.
Yeah, the Meredith effect. Instead of the radiator just being drag, the way they ducted the hot air coming out actually produced a tiny bit of thrust.
Like a mini jet assist. That's ingenious.
It all added up. And don't forget the collaboration with the British engineers. They brought real-world combat experience.
Okay, so team, tech, streamlining, British input.
And rapid prototyping. They built, tested, fixed, and moved on really fast.
Fascinating mix. Now, those first Mustangs, they had the Allison engine, right?
They did. The Allison V1710. And, it was a decent engine, down low for tactical reconnaissance or ground attack. The early P-51s were actually quite good.
But there's always a but.
But its performance really dropped off at higher altitudes, and that was a major problem when escorting bombers or tangling with high-flying German fighters.
Okay, so a limitation became clear pretty quickly.
Definitely. And this is where that British connection paid off again. A British test pilot, Ronald Harker.
He flew the Allison version.
He did. Saw the potential, but also saw that high-altitude weakness. And he had a game-changing idea.
Yeah.
Put the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine in it.
The Merlin, that's the engine everyone associates with the Spitfire, too.
And it transformed the Mustang. Specifically the Merlin 60 series with its two-stage, two-speed supercharger.
Like a really advanced turbocharger?
Sort of, yeah. It allowed the engine to maintain power much, much better as the plane climbed higher. Huge difference in performance and critically range.
Range was key for those bomber escorts deep into Germany.
Absolutely essential. The P-51B and C models, the ones the RAF called Mustang NK3rd, they got the Merlin first. It was a whole new aircraft.
Ready to take on the best German fighters anywhere.
Pretty much. And later, Packard in the U.S. built the Merlins under license the V1650. The famous P-51D used the V1650-7 variant.
Some people say that engine, the Merlin and the Mustang, basically won the air war. Is that fair?
It's a strong claim, but you can see why they say it. It was certainly decisive in gaining air superiority over Europe. A British engine and an American airframe, a perfect match.
So with the Merlin, the P-51 became the long-range escort fighter.
Exactly. From late 43 on, the P-51's B, C, then D models were the guardians of the 8th Air Force bombers over Germany. Bomber losses dropped dramatically.
But not just escorts, right? They did other things too.
Oh yeah, highly effective fighter bombers as well. Used by the RAF 2nd Tactical Air Force, the USAAF 9th Air Force. Crucial for establishing air superiority before and after D-Day in 44.
And they flew elsewhere too.
Yep. North Africa, Mediterranean, Italy, the Pacific Theater, it really got around.
Now, one group that really stands out in the sources is the 357th Fighter Group, the Yoxford Boys.
Ah, yes, the 357th. Operating out of RAF Leiston, they were the first P-51 group in the 8th Air Force.
And their record was something else.
Truly exceptional. Over 300 combat missions. They're credited with just under 600 aerial victories, 595 and a half officially, the most for any P-51 group in the 8th.
Wow. Plus, over 100 destroyed on the ground. They were effective.
Very. They had a reputation for being aggressive, really taking the fight to the Luftwaffe.
And they had those distinctive markings, didn't they? The checkerboard nose.
That's them. The red and yellow checkers, part of the 66 Fighter Wings ID, made them stand out. And the plane started in olive drab, but later you saw bare metal finishes too.
We've got that great account from Clayton Kelly Gross, his oral history, talking about checking out in the P-51B.
Yeah, feeling that Merlin power, the four-bladed prop. He named his plane Live Bait, which tells you something.
He definitely felt the P-51 had the edge over the BF-109.
Especially up high, yeah, where it mattered for the bombers. And the later P-51D, with 650 caliber machine guns, that was serious firepower.
The museum sources really drive home the Mustang's impact on the bombing campaign, a real turning point.
No question. Before the Mustang could escort all the way, bomber losses were horrific. Afterwards, the tide turned completely. By late 44, almost all 8th Air Force fighter squadrons flew Mustangs.
14 out of 15, the stats say. Incredible dominance.
Nearly 5,000 enemy aircraft destroyed in Europe, credited to the P-51. And like we said, great as fighter bombers too, carrying bombs, rockets.
And its service didn't just stop in 45. It flew in Korea.
It did, redesignated the F-51 by then. Initially, it was the main UN fighter, but as jets arrived, it transitioned more into a ground attack role. Still effective.
15,000 built. It's a huge number. What happened to them all after the war?
Well, sadly, many were scrapped. The jet age was dawning. They were seen as obsolete, expensive to store.
A familiar story for wartime equipment.
Unfortunately, yes, but quite a few survived. Some stayed in military service with other countries for decades, believe it or not, into the early 80s in some cases.
Wow.
And then, of course, they became hugely popular as civilian warbirds. Air racing, too.
Which brings us to today, keeping these amazing machines flying. The restoration work must be incredible.
Oh, it's an art form. The folks at places like Stallion 51 talk about it being like museum conservation. Meticulous work, hunting down original parts using original blueprints.
Real dedication.
Yeah.
And often ongoing projects, right?
Yeah.
Never really finished.
Exactly. A labor of love. And you see fantastic examples like the commemorative Air Force Red Tail Squadron's P-51C.
Tuskegee Airmen. That's a special one.
It really is an actual WWII aircraft, restored, flying. It's used to educate people about the Tuskegee Airmen, their incredible story. This particular plane was a trainer stateside during the war.
It's not just looking at them in museums, though. You can actually experience them. Stallion 51 does training.
Giving people the chance to actually fly one. Imagine that.
And Planes of Fame Air Museum offers rides, right? In a P-51D, you can actually go up in one.
Feel that Merlin engine rumble. It's about connecting with history in a very visceral way, hearing it, feeling it.
Which leads perfectly into air shows. That Reddit thread we saw mentioned someone seeing one at McConnell Air Force Base. Surprisingly agile, they said.
Yeah, that surprisingly pops up a lot. Even knowing their history, seeing a 70-plus-year-old design dance in the sky. It's impressive. People are just blown away by the beauty and the agility.
And the sound. That Merlin roar is unmistakable.
Absolutely. They often fly in heritage flights alongside modern jets, too. A fantastic visual comparison.
Seeing and hearing a Mustang fly today, it's a powerful link to the past, a testament to the design and the people who keep them flying.
Couldn't agree more. It really showcases the enduring legacy.
So wrapping up this deep dive, what a journey for the P-51. Rapid design under pressure, becoming utterly crucial for Allied victory with that Merlin engine.
Surviving the post-war scrap heap thanks to dedicated restorers, and now thrilling crowds as a flying legend.
It's an amazing story of innovation, adaptation, and just enduring appeal. Makes you think, what part of its history or design grabs you the most?
And what other aircraft from that era hold that same kind of fascination? Something to ponder.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the North American P-51 Mustang. We really hope you enjoyed exploring this aviation legend with us.
Yeah, it was great fun digging into this one. If you enjoyed it too, please do give us a like and maybe subscribe. It really helps the channel bring you more of these kinds of analyses.
Thanks again for listening.